Everyone unmute yourselves, please.
1, 2, you know what to do.
Hail to the Towson Tigers. We're true to the black and gold. Fight over current and forever. Victory is strong and bold. Fight,
Fight.
Hail to the Towson Tigers. And rally for all to see. Fight. Tigers, fight. Lead us to victory. To you.
That wasn't terrible, guys. That was much better this time. All right. Attorney General Robinson.
Hey, hi you guys. My apologies for my camera being off. I will be taking roll call as of now. Also, if you're calling in, if you could please say your name at the end of roll call if you're an SGA member, I would really appreciate it. Treasurer Eagle. Vice President Davao.
Present.
Right? Okay. President Indiang.
Present.
Director Nduka.
Present.
Chief of Staff Ambush.
Here.
Assistant Director Washington. Assistant Director Bello. Director Whiteside.
Here.
Director Fishkin.
Here.
Director Triskowska.
Present.
Director Perot. Director Kapoor.
Present.
Assistant Director Ferguson. Solicitor General Whiting.
Present.
Director White.
Present.
Director Foster.
Present.
Director Moody.
Present.
Director McComb.
Present.
Director Diame.
Present.
Director Brown.
Present.
Director Senator Kinsey.
Present. Saying something.
Senator Newman. Senator Afe.
Present.
Senator Goodman. Senator Williams.
Present.
Senator Harding. Senator Trumbull.
Present.
Senator Teddy.
Present.
Senator Auditory.
Present.
Pro Temp Wheeler.
Present.
Senator Teklu.
Present.
Senator Greenspan.
Present.
Senator Egan.
Present.
Senator Rink.
Present.
Chief Justice Foreman.
Present.
Justice Sherman.
Present.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Wait, did you say Senator Goodman?
Yes, I did.
I'm sorry, present. I had
No
technical
problem.
getting in. I'm sorry.
No
Oh, I'm
problem.
also present here too. Sorry, I didn't know I was on mute.
Sorry, who is that speaking?
Oh, it's Senator Harding, miss.
Okay, thank you.
Senator
Alright.
Dixon is also present. I think the mic was kind of breaking up a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Everyone, point of order, please. If you could just wait to be acknowledged just for the minute so everyone knows who's speaking. But thank you for clarifying the roll call. Was anyone else's name not called? Can you please let us know in the chat, please? Director Kemp is present. Director Perot is also present. Senator Newman, Senator Watts, all of which are present.
Senator Goodman's present. His name should.
Senator Goodman is present. Assistant Director Bello is also present. Thank you all for clarifying for us. All right, we'll now be moving into the approval of the minutes. Are there any amendments to last meeting's minutes? If not, we'll consider them approved. We'll now move into the amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments? I recommend that someone strikes all communications, excluding the executive board and advisors' remarks. Senator Goodman?
I move that we strike all communications, excluding the executive board and advisors' remarks. I accept that recommendation.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Can you say who was speaking? Sorry, I can't see everyone at the same time.
Sorry, Senator Rank.
Thank you, Senator Rank. Is there any discussion? If not, we'll move into a vote. All in favor of striking all communications, excluding the executive board and the advisors' remarks. And Attorney General Robinson, can you please send the amount of senators you have marked as present in the chat, please, for Director Kapoor?
Yes.
And Pro Temp Wheeler, make sure you send it to everyone. Yes, and that's for everyone. Make sure when you vote publicly so everyone can see it. All opposed? Abstaining? Director Kapoor?
15 in favor and 1 abstaining, but I need the total amount of senators present.
Correct. 16. So yes, that should be, and all 16 should be voting throughout. Thank you all for voting in a timely manner. The motion passes. We'll now move into guest speakers. We have the University System of Maryland Council President here with us today. Please correct me if I say your name incorrectly. Annie Rappaport.
Hello, you said my name correctly.
Yay.
Thank you, Jordan. You said it very correctly, which most people don't. So I appreciate that. 1 second. I'm just going to shut my door so I don't bother anyone else in my home.
Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. So I am the current president of the University System of Maryland Student Council. The System of Maryland is a collection of several of the Maryland colleges, universities, and research centers, and we work together as a council. So every school sends 2 voting reps, typically the president of the undergraduate council and the president of the graduate council to join us. What is our purpose? Well, we get together and we discuss policy, and we discuss best practices, and we discuss things across the system. The intent there is to make sure that the student perspectives from everyone in the system, not just certain institutions, gets into the ears, if you will, of the Board of Regents, as well as the Chancellor. It is also a place where we can talk to one another, and it can go back down. So it can go up, so we can talk about, for example, we're going to have a special meeting later this week talking about proposed amendments to the naming policy. How do different universities go about including voice, etc., when choosing how to name a building or choosing to remove a name off of a building? So that's an example policy that we'll be looking at. We've looked at other ones in the past as well, but that kind of gives just a tiny idea of what we do. But both myself and I don't know if Bernetta was able to join or not, we both are trying to go to every single school's council meeting or executive board meeting as a way to get to know all of you and make sure that we're representing you as best we can, so we know what's on your minds, so we know what to put on the radar of the Chancellor and Board of Regents. And if there's anything, how do I put this? If there's anything, I'll use an example, that's how I'll put it. So if there's anything going on at your school, and we can have a conversation at the council, and we can find out, okay, we're at Towson and we really want to start a student crisis fund, is one that happened for us a couple years back. One school may not have a student crisis fund, maybe 5 or 6 of the other schools do. They're able to provide letters and information to help the school that doesn't yet have a student crisis fund set one up. So we do those kinds of projects as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Rafferty? If not, thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure thing. I can't wait to hear from everybody. I'll have to be taking notes.
If you have your contact information, please send that to our SGA president, so you all are in communication and the rest of us can get into contact with you. And if there's any other information you'd like to share, please do so now. If not, we'll move on with business for today.
Okay. The only other thing I would share is we have an ongoing opportunity, and in each of these, there are going to be a series of conversations with the Chancellor. They're going to be thematic, and every school can send 2 students to each of those. So the first one's on September 14th. You'll probably be hearing more from your president, but just keep an eye out for opportunities like that, because we really want all students, the top leaders, but everybody, to have chances to have their voice heard. So that was one other announcement.
Thank you so much for being here. We'll now move into public participation and student concerns. Are there any concerns? Chief of Staff Ambush, if you're monitoring the live stream.
There are no concerns at this time.
Okay, students, if you have any concerns, we'll be monitoring it throughout the meeting. But yes, this is our scheduled time for public participation. If there is none, we'll move on to communications. And we will be starting with President and beyond.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're all doing good today. Mainly my remarks for you today are basically going to be an update on what I've been doing. I've basically been just working on the recommendations and the concerns that I've been getting in my personal inbox and both in my professional inbox as well. I just want to make it clear, because I know a lot of people are watching today, that I'm hearing everything that everybody is saying, and I'm taking all of them into account as I make my decisions and choices for the upcoming school year. And that's what I have for you guys today.
Treasurer Yvonne.
I have no report at this time.
All right, Attorney General Robertson.
No report.
Chief of Staff Ambush.
Happy Tiger Tuesday, everyone. Okay, so I do have a couple of reports, just kind of clean up house stuff. So don't forget that every Thursday before 5, everyone in SGA's weekly reports are due. This is, to make sure that your exec liaison knows what you're doing and to hold each other accountable. So please make sure they're in Thursday at 5. Like, I don't mean 5:01 or 5:07, I mean 5. When it comes to office hours this week, just do your office hours. Don't worry about having a Zoom call set up. I'm trying to figure that out right now, the most efficient way to do it. Just do your office hours as you normally would do them. Our first pre-meeting is this Thursday. It is with Director Kapoor and Assistant Director Ferguson. They're going to be going over how programming is going to look like this year. So all directors and any senators and any justices that are interested in doing some sort of programming, whether that's an event, whether that's inviting a speaker, whatever, through SGA, we will have a pre-meeting this upcoming Thursday about that. If you want to have a pre-meeting, please let me know as soon as possible. A pre-meeting can look like, let's say there's a topic you're really, really big on. For example, I had pre-meetings where I taught people how to contact the legislatures. I've had pre-meetings where I've educated people on how to recycle, compost their waste and stuff like that. So pre-meetings can be anything. Like if you want to do a presentation, if you want to invite a speaker from somewhere in the university, like someone from CSD or someone from, I don't know, student conduct or something, you can do that. So you can have the entire 1 hour block all to yourself to teach SJ something. So if you have any ideas for a pre-meeting, just let me know. And with that, I yield.
All right. Hi, everyone. Aside from legislative things, I wanted to provide some clarifications during my report today, just because we've been having a lot of lovely discourse online today as a response to our legislative agenda for the day. So I wanted to take some time just to clarify what the legislative process at SGA looks like and how that translates to the stance of the organization. So SGA has the honor of being a nonpartisan organization that is positioned to facilitate conversations that are really difficult sometimes. And any student in any student organization can request legislation through the SGA and can be a part of SGA. But we wanted to make it clear that until the Student Senate votes on the bills being proposed, that is not the stance of the organization as a whole, because a resolution once passed is the will of the students. And that is why you all elect the senators that you do, and that we hope that you choose them wisely. But the Student Senate has their own autonomy to be unbiased in subject neutrality in representing the 22,000 plus students that we have been sworn in to represent. And amendments are also possible during the discussion of these resolutions. So if you agree with the bill, but you don't necessarily agree with all of the bill, amendments can be made, but they need to be voted on by the Senate. Everything needs to be voted on by the Senate. But we just wanted to, or I just wanted to clarify that, just to be clear, because we'll be proposing, getting a little ahead of myself, proposing a lot of bills this year that, you know, all of us in our personal value systems may not necessarily agree with. But the real idea is facilitating these conversations and getting the attention of the community and the administration to consider these things. So that clarifies things for you all. And I hope you all look forward to the discussion today of these resolutions. So yes, are there any opinions of the court? If not, we'll move into, there's no unfinished business, so we'll move into new business.
Okay, hello guys. I'm just gonna try and share my screen real quick, or Vice President, would you want to continue to share yours?
I can continue. Just let me know what you need.
Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, we're now moving into new finished business. I recommend that a senator makes a motion to review resolution number 10 first.
This is Senator Rank. I motion to review resolution number 10.
Senator Dixon, I second that.
Second. Is there any discussion? Okay, there's no further discussion. We are now voting to review resolution number 10. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, and Director Kapoor, can you just read the count, or if you're still counting out?
Yeah, we have 14 in favor.
Senator Eaglin.
We should have 15.
Oh, my apologies. Pro Tem Wheeler.
Vice President Davao?
Yes, so the one abstaining should be Senator Eaglin.
Okay, so 14 in favor and 1 abstain.
Okay, so with that, the motion.
Everyone is voting.
The person that was abstaining never said abstaining.
Gotcha.
I just got the abstaining.
Yes, Senator Dixon, sorry. Okay, so we're okay now. Okay, so with that, the motion passed and we'll now review resolution number 10. Okay, is there any discussion?
Pro Tem Wheeler.
Vice President DeVoe, yeah.
Just ask the question to Senator Evelyn.
Yes, Senator Evelyn, would you like to speak as to why you would like to be an SGA?
Okay. Basically I would like to be an SGA because I feel like SGA was very beneficial for me for my my freshman and sophomore year here at Towson, and I just wanted to be a part when I saw like all of the good things that everyone was doing.
Okay, great. Okay, and
Would anyone like to speak on Senator Evelyn's behalf? If not, Senator Evelyn, can you leave the meeting for a moment so we can have a closed vote? You got it. You got it. There's no further discussion.
no, she did not mention any initiatives she had.
Yes, if you all have any questions for her, we can invite her back. But I believe she's left the meeting now. But yes, leave any questions that you have for Senator Evelyn in the chat, and we'll have her respond to those when she comes back. Chief of Staff Ambush.
Hi, I would just like to speak on her behalf really quickly. Even though I've only talked to her for like a week since she joined. She's been very engaged. Every time we talk about different like stuff that's going on around Towson, I see her being very engaged, and she seems like she genuinely like deeply wants to be here. So yeah.
Is there any further discussion? Would anybody like to speak on her behalf? Okay, so if not, we're going to move into a vote. All those in favor? Okay, and I'm just counting on the side, sorry guys. Okay, all those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, and the motion passes. If someone gets texted real quick, let her know, hey, she can come back so we can say, yeah, okay.
Pro Tem Wheeler, can you direct the board for the voting count for the live stream?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sorry.
It's 14 in favor.
Okay.
You can announce.
Did she come back? I can't.
I'm not sure, but you can proceed.
Vice President, can you go back to the agenda, please? Thank you so much. Are there any motions on the floor?
Sorry, Senator Auditory speaking. I motion to present resolution number 6 to the floor.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again, please?
I motion to bring resolution number 6.
Okay, resolution 6. Is there a second?
This is Senator Rank. I second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Oh, Senator Goodman, I think you said point of clarification.
Yes, just want to clarify for the live sessions, since this is like recorded live, are they appearing on the SGA Facebook page? Because I noticed when I look at the SGA Facebook page to review past live recordings, it doesn't appear. It just appears as like old posts from like 2019 and stuff on there. Or is there another page I should be looking at?
Senator Goodman, if I could interject Pro Tem Wheeler, my apologies. The live stream is through the YouTube channel, not Facebook.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, if you couldn't hear me, I'm sorry. The SGA YouTube channel is where the live streams are available, not through Facebook.
Wonderful.
And Advisor Bailey mentioned, again, please, when you are making a motion, say, I move that, and then say that action you'd like to perform. Not I motion that, but I move that. But thank you for that point of clarification. Pro Tem Wheeler, I think we have a point of information from Chief of Staff Ambush.
You answered it, Jordan.
Yes, she was saying ambush.
Okay, I answered it. Sorry, Pro Tem Wheeler. You can proceed.
Oh, it's fine. Okay, if there is no further discussion, we will now be voting to review resolution number 6. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, Director Gafor, could you read the count aloud for us, please?
Yeah, we have 14 in favor. We're missing 1. Is Senator Eaglin back yet?
I believe so, if I'm not mistaken.
I messaged her, Pro Tem Wheeler, but I don't believe that she's back yet.
Okay, so then it's just 14 in favor.
Okay, so with that, the motion passes. We are now reviewing resolution number 6. Is there any discussion? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, would the senators who wrote the bill like to speak on its behalf?
Yeah, this is Senator Rank. I would just like to explain the bill a little bit, if that's all right. I first wanted to mention that I was able to meet with the athletic department along with Senator Auditoye. I believe it was late last week, so I thank them for that. I feel like it was very clarifying. Some of the new information that they presented us with is written in the bill, such as the breakdown for the athletics budget. With careful consideration, we decided to leave the reduction of the athletic fee almost the same, just because our role as a senator is to present student concerns. And I felt as though many students wanted as large of a refund as they could get. Realistically, I did still feel like it was important to protect the jobs of both student workers and those on payroll of the athletic department. So we decided to move towards a 31% reduction, which again is everything except for the personnel costs and athlete scholarships refunded to the student body. I'm not sure if also Senator Auditoye wanted to make a remark as well.
Yes, hi, I'm Senator Toy. I was just speaking on the bill. Like, a lot of students came with the odd idea of like, oh, we want to get our $499 back, but then after looking at it, especially, it would be more beneficial for the students with the 31% reduction, because then we're paying for things like, if you see in the overall costs, you see things for like jobs and scholarships for the students. So this is just the 31%. We believe that it was fair, and it gave it tried to give everyone an opportunity, because these times are hard, and you kind of need everything you can get.
Sorry, I just remembered one more thing. This is Senator Rank again. I would also like to say, just for the senator's consideration, that this will make it much more difficult for athletes to practice during the fall term as well as the winter. I acknowledge that, and I do not necessarily believe that this is like the most ideal situation. However, we were trying to do the most good for the most amount of people as possible. So that is something to consider when you're voting on this bill. I don't want to erase the voice of student athletes who may feel that this bill is unfair. But with that being said, that's pretty much everything about the bill. Thank you.
Okay, and she was that Ambush, you had a recommendation?
Yes, I would like to make a recommendation to limit discussion to 30 minutes, because we have already looked over this bill during our special session, and I want to make sure we save enough time for us to review the next resolution.
Would anybody like to make a motion on that?
Senator Affy here. I move that we limit discussion to 30 minutes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'm Senator Greenspan, and I second the motion.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
Just to clarify, who accepted the recommendation? Can I get the last name again?
Yes, Senator Affy. Okay, if there is no further discussion, we will now be moving into a vote to limit the discussion on resolution number 6 in 30 minutes.
Sorry. Jordan, am I allowed to participate as public participation here?
Absolutely. A senator will need to yield their time to you. Can a senator please yield their time to Andrew? Well, actually, is it in regards to the motion on the floor to limit the discussion, or is it in regards to something else?
It's in regards to the resolution itself.
Okay, when we're back to discussing it as a whole, absolutely. But just because there's a motion on the floor to limit the discussion, we have to vote on this first.
Okay.
That makes sense? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we are now moving into a vote to limit discussion to 30 minutes. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, and Director Kofod, can you please read the count to us?
Yes, we have 14 in favor and 1 opposed.
Okay, with that, the motion passes to limit the discussion to 30 minutes. Is there any? Yes, we are now looking at the bill as a whole. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Can a senator please yield their time to Andrew to speak, please?
I, Senator Auditory, yield my time to Mr. Andrew.
Andrew, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know that allowed me. I didn't know if there was another vote or something that happens after that. But thank you, Senator Odutoye. I appreciate that. Justin, I know we've talked before, and I've come on here and I've spoken with a lot of you. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I just want to let everyone know that student athletes are still staying on campus. We are expecting to see competition as soon as November for the student athletes of the fall semester. So basketballs, both men's and women's, and a couple other sports. I'd also like to suggest that the council review other fees that you guys haven't looked at, not just the athletic fee. I believe that there are some fees and some tuition based things that you guys haven't necessarily looked at. And then I also want to make a comment with the breakdown you guys have made here. There's a couple of percentage points that I feel are still left on the table that you guys are taking out that student athletes need, such as medical services, nutrition, academic support, and development programs. I feel like the student athletes are still on campus. We're still participating in school. We still are lifting and running, conditioning. All of those are necessary for us. Especially the medical services and nutrition in such a time when COVID is rampant throughout our campus, as we have all moved back home to our housing. And there also has been a refund, as myself and Jordan saw from our meeting the other week. There will be a full refund of housing and food to the regular students. So with that being said, I would suggest looking at other fees, just not the athletic fee. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Okay, Senator Goodman, you have a question?
Well, I wonder what safety protocols are the athletes taking right now on campus, considering everything going on. And frankly, I find it a bit concerning that we are still like having practices and all this stuff and, hoping that we're eventually going to have, full-fledged, game in a time when COVID-19 is running rampant. And, it's kind of concerning in the respect. I mean, I respect the fact that it's crucial to maintain exercise, physical exercise during this time, and but I guess my question is, couldn't we hold off on starting the athletic competition until like when we finally see that this pandemic is no longer a WHO or emergency, or until like cases really start to really go down here? And in addition to that, I guess my thought is with the athletics fee, we would still be having a portion, the portion of the fee that helps fund, their medical and nutritional, well-being, and certain like scholarship stuff like that. But I feel like there's more to the athletics fee by keeping the full athletics fee. And what are we using the money that we're not using this semester, like in terms of like game tickets, event funding, and all that?
Hi, this is Chief Justice Foreman. I was hoping to talk on Resolution 6.
Pro Temp Wheeler, you'll have to acknowledge her to speak.
I'm sorry, President, can you repeat that? I don't know, my audio just went out for a second.
That's okay. When someone requests to speak, you have to acknowledge them before they can proceed.
Okay, yes. And who said they would like to speak? If they could repeat it again?
Chief Justice Foreman.
Yes, you can speak. Yes, would you like that?
All right, awesome. I want to make a recommendation to the Senate. Before I begin, I want to thank the senators for being here today to vote on this athletics fee bill. I also want to thank the senators in particular who took their time researching information in order to construct a piece of legislation to benefit the students here at TU. We know this fee has brought up much discussion from students, and it is our duty to make sure we hear these voices and take action. It was disrespectful that the athletics department only refunded $8 from the $499 fee. So I think it's baffling seeing a proposed cut below 50%. I say 50% being worst case, as we know best case is 100%. It is important to state that this cut of the athletics fee is in support of all students. This cut is not against student athletes. In fact, it is in support of them, as the athletics department can afford this cut and allocate the necessary funding to their student athletes. And because at SGA, we recognize and stand for the students here at TU, it would make the most sense to see a 75% cut. What this will do is allow for the majority of the money to go back to all the students, as well as equip the athletics department with 25% of the remaining funding, which is a little over $2 million. Myself, as well as others, see this as adequate as it allows for money to go to student workers and athletes. If the athletics department is truly here for the students, they will be able to make the necessary cuts to allow their budget to adequately follow our proposal. Cuts on their end need to take place if they truly want to support their student athletes as well as the students here at TU. So today, I propose to the Senate to strike all areas of this bill that say 31% and replace the number with 75%, a recommendation which will help amend this bill to adequately serve the students here. Does any senator accept this recommendation?
Okay, Senator Goodman accepts. Is there a second? Is there a second? Okay, since there is no second, we'll move into, actually, she was sent members. I saw that she said there were public comments.
I would recommend, I would recommend someone second it so they can be voted on, and then the Senate can either vote it down or accept the recommendation.
Okay, so we're gonna go back. Yes, would anybody like to pick up anybody like to make a motion?
Pro Temp Wheeler, I believe Senator Goodman accepted the motion. I also reiterate what Chief Justice Foreman said. In order to document that the motion failed, if you all are not in support of it, we'll need to vote on that. So in order to vote on it, we'll need to second it. Even if you don't necessarily agree with the motion, that doesn't mean you agree with the motion.
I, Senator Greenspan, second the motion.
Okay, Senator Greenspan, you seconded, correct?
Yes.
Senator Greenspan? Okay. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, Solicitor General Whiting, you said point of information.
So my question is, if the fee would be moving up to 50%, what else would, or 75%, I'm sorry, what else would we be cutting from other than the scholarships? Or is that what we would just be leaving?
So what the proposed cut is, the 75% cut, is the cut that the students have to pay. So what this will, so if the athletics department is requiring a certain amount of money, they can pull that out from their own department so that it's not coming from the students. So we are not having to cut certain things. And so what I'm trying to say is, if the athletics department truly cares about their student athletes, they will be able to afford this. And if the athletics department truly cares about the students as well, they'll be in support of this proposal.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm Director Truskowska. I hope I said that right. You said you had a comment?
Got it. Yeah, I wanted to make a quick comment. I understand that we all would love, in an ideal world, to have this fee completely removed and not have it affect student athletes at all. Going through the bill, already seeing that the athletics department is like 25% down already. I don't think that they have the necessary means on their own without this fund to just come up with that money. I also think that if we did decide to increase it at all, I think that there would have to be a heavier discussion in terms of like what percentages that would even take. Because if we did have that 75% cut, where does the other 25% go? Like, does it go to the scholarships? Does it go to recruiting? Like, how does that? I just feel like if we were to kind of move forward, it would be a little difficult to do it within this like 30-minute time span. So that was all I wanted to just put out there.
Okay, Chief of Staff Ambush, you have public comments?
Yes, so there is a lot of lively discussion in the chat about this motion right now. So several people are saying that if we raise the cuts to 75%, that could lead to a permanent loss of some sports. Some others are saying that we are in a pandemic and students should get all the money they should have as possible. And those two comments are relation about the motion to raise the fee to 75%.
Okay, Senator Auditory, you have a question?
I had a question. So if we reduce, it's question/comment. If we reduce the cut to 75% and the extra 25%, let's say it goes to scholarship, what happens to the students under the employment of the athletics? So there's also students, and some of the athletic fee goes to those students. Besides the athletics department, that fee that we students are paying goes to other students. So I don't know if it would, how would that work?
Am I allowed to speak on to that point?
Yeah.
So what Senator Auditory is speaking on is the coalition that we have with student athletes in our athletic departments with the students of the campus. So we have a section of our student athletes that work with the film team. They work with the athletic training staffs in order to complete their college curriculum. They're using it as internships, and they're using it as college credits. Their partnership with the athletics is basically supporting the student athletes as well as the students. So taking 75% out of this cut would be taking the 31% on the bottom there, and you would also be taking away either scholarships, which is part of student athletes, and that possibly would not allow student athletes to come back to campus because they can't possibly pay for it, or you're going to take part of the personnel, which is part of our administration and the people that help us become better student athletes in general and students. That's all.
Okay. Senator Goodman, you had a comment?
I yield my time back to Vice President Davao. I retract my comment.
I didn't have the floor, but I'll take it. Just a reminder.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're still on the motion. Just as a reminder to everyone, we're still discussing the motion to raise it to 75%. So just a reminder to stay on task on that.
If there's no more discussion, I move to vote on the motion.
Dixon, I second that.
Okay. Dr. Kapoor, you got the names correct?
Wait, who first motion to move?
Sorry, that was me, Senator Johnson.
Tim Wheeler, if I could interject, just for the senators to know, just as a Robert's reminder, if you say call to question, that is a way where we do not have to vote. To vote, it immediately ends the discussion there, but just as a rule of thumb going forward. But you can still make a motion to vote, but you can just say the phrase call to question, and then we'll move into a vote on that. But just a teaching moment, but I'll be quiet now. Tim Wheeler, proceed.
We are now moving into a vote. Okay, all those in favor is the split of 75%.
Pro Tem Wheeler, we're voting to vote on that. I believe. Someone can correct me, but I believe we're voting.
Yes, yes.
You're right.
Yes.
Okay, all those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, and Director Kapoor, could you please read the count for us? And we have one more.
There's 13 in favor and 1 opposing. Oh wait, now there's another vote. 14 in favor and 1 opposing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Director Kapoor.
Yeah, correct. 14 in favor and 1 opposing.
For everyone to be clear, that motion was to vote on the motion. So we're now voting on the motion.
Yes. Is there any discussion? Yes, Senator Griesway, yes, you are allowed. If not, yes, the motion passes. Okay. Yes, Advisor Bailey, if you would like to say a few words.
Actually, it's just a question I have for the group. Just so I'm clear, the resolution as it stands, you all are voting on a 31% reduction. It's not the 75% that was proposed by Justice Foreman. Is that correct?
Pro Tem Wheeler, can I speak?
I'm sorry, can you put that again? My audio just keeps going in and out for some reason.
Okay, it's not your fault. I was just asking if I could speak.
Yes, please, yes.
All right, so just for clarification for everyone, I hope you can hear me okay. That motion, Director Kapoor, it passed with 14 in favor and 1 opposed. Thank you for that. That motion was to vote on the motion to increase the reduction to 75%. The motion passed to vote, but now we're voting just for everybody. Now we're moving into a vote, if there's no further discussion on it, to raise it to 75%. We needed to vote, and now we are voting.
Yes.
Anyone have any questions about that?
No. Vote. Please vote.
All right, just for the sake of time, I think we should move on. But yes, Pro Temp Wheeler, go on to conducting the vote.
All those in favor?
Okay, so we are now. Yes, we are now voting to reduce, I'm sorry, y'all. Yes, we're now voting to raise the, yes. All those in favor?
All those opposed?
Point of order.
Okay.
You need to be acknowledged if you're gonna speak.
Okay, and all those abstaining? Okay, just give it a second.
Okay, so we have 13 opposed and 1 abstaining, and I know Senator Greenspan is also abstaining because she did point of personal privilege.
Okay.
So 13 opposed and 2 abstaining.
Okay, so with that, the motion fails. Okay, Vice President, will you have a recommendation?
Just for the sake of the integrity of the discussion, I make a recommendation to extend the conversation for an additional 10 minutes.
Anybody like to accept?
Sorry. Senator Dixon, I accept that motion. I move that we extend the discussion for 10 further minutes.
Senator Trumbull, I second.
Can I get who accepted the recommendation really quick?
Senator Dixon.
Amazing, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're now voting to add an additional 10 minutes in discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, and Director Kapoor, could you read us the count?
We have 11 in favor and 3 opposed.
Okay, so that the motion passes, correct?
Yeah. Yes. I'm not
Yes.
sure.
Yes, it passes.
Okay, yes.
Yes, we need 10 to pass, just for everybody.
Okay, yes. Okay, yes. Chief of Staff Ambush, you have public comments?
Yes. So the public comments is one person said, I can understand both sides for sure. So I'm not sure where I stand. I don't think I should pay for it, but I understand that athletes are important. So that person not sure. People who are supporting for this bill to fail are saying that they're questioning why aren't we looking at the SGA fee? Why aren't we looking at the auxiliary fees and other fees? And they're saying that if this bill passes, long-term effects, people who are supporting this bill are saying, why should we pay for games you don't attend? They're marking financial concerns because we're in the pandemic, and saying like, why are we paying for other people? And then I have my personal comment. The personal comment I have, this is Chief of Staff ambush, not public participation. The SGA fee pays for almost every single student organization on campus, and all of those student organizations are still committed into having their events, having their meetings. Even though it's all virtual, they still need to like use that money to make sure that they can provide the student body with what they need. The rest of that funding is mostly for SGA events that will still be going on, whether that's speakers or hosting virtual events. And a huge part of our fee also goes to CAB, who is also committed to supporting having events that are virtual. So that is my personal comment towards the people who are asking, why aren't we looking at the SGA fee?
Is there any further discussion? Vice President Davao, you have a comment?
Yes, in response to one of the live comments, I'm just relaying the information from our meeting with the athletics department, just to clarify that there's not a direct, the fee does not directly translate as an exchange for tickets to games. Yes, that's an immediate benefit that students typically would get in an academic year, but just for everyone, there's not a direct correlation between the cost of the fee and the exchange for tickets to games. But with that, I yield.
Okay. Okay, so if there's no further discussion, we are now looking at the bill as a whole. And I would just like to make a friendly recommendation that we change medial to medical. Just I guess a little typo in the legislation.
And for everyone, friendly amendments don't need votes for spelling and things like that.
Okay, so is there any discussion? Senator Goodman?
If there is no further discussion, I move that we vote on this bill as a whole.
Senator Trumbull, I second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? If not, we're going to now move into a vote. All those in favor? Okay. All those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, and Director Kapoor, could you say the count back for us, please?
Yeah, 14 in favor.
14 in favor. The motion passes to vote. So we're now going to vote on the bill as a whole. Is there any discussion? Okay, if there is no further discussion, we are now voting on the bill as a whole. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, Okay, Director Foreman, when you're ready, can you please read the count back for us?
Yeah, we have 12 in favor and 2 opposed.
Okay. And with that, the motion passes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so with that, the motion passes. All right. And Vice President Vogt, can you, yes, the resolution has been passed. Resolution number 6 has been passed, sorry, yes. Okay, are there any motions on the floor?
Motion.
Senator Goodman.
I move that we review resolution number 11.
Senator Dixon, I second that.
Okay. We are now moving into a vote to review resolution number 11. All those in favor? Okay. All those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, we have still a few more. Okay, my bad, guys. And our Director, can you please read the count back for us?
We have 14.
Oh, Director Ferguson. Yeah. Okay, with that, the motion passes. We're now going to review resolution number 11, but I see that Director Moody, you have a question?
Yeah, so I just wanted to know, so President Satchel, she kind of has to like agree on this bill, right? So if we bring it to her, this is still regarding the athletics. Okay.
Wheeler, if I could. Oh, actually, President Ndiong has wanted to.
I feel like we were going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify for everybody that resolutions are essentially formal recommendations. So essentially, we are verifying what the student senate, which represents the student body, has determined to be what the students want, and we're relaying that information back to the president of the university, who will be able to make the ultimate decision. But this is our way of like stating that this is what the students want, and to ignore it would be to neglect what they want.
Okay, Senator Goodman.
Just to clarify, if Schatzel were to not approve like what we decided, could we perhaps, I don't know, take action and have like protests on campus relating to that, or?
I'm going to answer that very carefully in the sense that you can do whatever you feel fit in your capacity. However, in past times when resolutions weren't accepted immediately, you would definitely just redo the resolution over and over again. I recognize that I did that as a senator 3 different times for a resolution that I was passionate about, and that is an option that you have. I also agree that civil disobedience is always an option, but that is also to be determined individually.
Right.
Wheeler, we have a public comment. I'm not sure if you're frozen, but Chief of Staff Ambush.
Hi. Okay, so the chat is very lively again. So from what I'm reading, some people said, one person said that the wording of the resolution should be abolished, not defund, as ultimately TUPD would be abolished. Someone says they're against TUPD because they're against defunding TUPD because Towson University is one of the safest campuses in the US. Some people are saying we should reform, not get rid of. Others are asking who would be replaced. Some are saying that Towson University is safe not because of TUPD, but because of policies that Towson University has put in place. So yeah, that pretty much sums up the ideas right now.
Pro Temp Wheeler, I had a comment, but I'm not sure if your Wi-Fi is lagging. That's okay, Director Truskowska, that's point of information. And the comment that I wanted to raise was one that came up on social media earlier. I think there's a discrepancy in how people feel about laying the groundwork for this bill versus the ultimate like long-term goals of this bill. I think many people are in support of expanding the counseling centers and having them be more involved in the processes. My apologies if my family is speaking in the background, but our, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think a lot of people are in support of the counseling centers being expanded and the reallocation of funding, but abolishing altogether, like Chief of Staff Ambush was saying, is where there's a little bit of a discrepancy in terms of the long-term effects of this bill. And I recommend that senators carefully consider the wording and recognize that you have the opportunity during the discussion of this bill to move to adjust any wording. You'll just have to say what specifically you're looking to add or amend. But Pro Temp Wheeler was disconnected. Are you okay now?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry guys for the technical difficulties. Like I don't know what's going on today. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
You're okay. You're fine. We have a couple of questions and comments in the chat.
Okay,
Senator Rank, I believe, is the first one.
Yeah, Senator Rank.
I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that I think that it's necessary that there's a plan for those who are employed by the TUPD. I feel it would be unfair to cut their jobs, like thinking about what a 25% cut would mean for the TUPD. These people would, who are employed by TUPD, would either need to have drastic pay cuts or be let go. So I think a plan needs to be in place for those workers. So I just wanted to remind the senators of that. And that's all. I yield.
Okay. Director Truskowska's point of information.
I actually had two just quick questions. My first question was along the lines of, I wanted to know, is there any way if we ever did pass a bill and say next year that SGA was like, oh, we disagree with it, is there any way that this bill, if it were to be passed, could then be taken down in like the following years? And then I guess my second question was along the lines of, have we come up with, is there going to be fund reallocation, or kind of is there any backup plan as to how that will go? Just because I do think that it is a very, not a bold bill, but I do think that a lot of people are going to ask a lot of questions in terms of like, what does this then mean in terms of like the counseling center and everything?
Okay, and is that Uche? I'm sorry, am I saying that right? Yes, if you Can answer the question? Yes, please do.
Hi, I'm not going to take up too much time because I do have a presentation that's like specific to after the senators present the bill and then Freedom School as a whole. My name is Uche. I'm the co-director of Towson Freedom School. We're the ones that brought this, we're the ones that kind of like asked for this bill to be written. To answer your question specifically, what is the game plan? Essentially, in an ideal world, we are hoping to create a system where we are having trauma-informed care instead of the threat of violence. Using the threat of violence being the way we handle situations on campus. When I say trauma-informed care, I'm sure some of you all have heard of Turnaround Incorporated. I know Towson University and Turnaround have a contract where survivors of sexual violence or victims of sexual violence on campus can then opt to have Turnaround advocate for them, go through whatever processes they go through, whether that's counseling, whether that's legality, whatever. Turnaround then take hold of that situation. So that essentially would be an example of trauma-informed care because these are specialized counselors that are trained to know what to do in a situation of like sexual violence or someone being assaulted in a certain way, and having them guide them through that process instead of police officers that are essentially not trained to deal with situations like that doing that. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Okay. And the senators who wrote the bill, if they would like to speak on it if they did not do so already while I was.
Yes. Well, hi, my name's Senator Sen Goodman, and also Sion Trumbull also helped me write this as well. First, Senator Trumbull, would you mind like explaining like who, when you talked to Ben Lowenthal and like what you found exactly? First,
Sure. So I reached out to the, I guess, head financial officer of Towson University, trying to get some numbers on the budgets for the Towson University Police Department and Office of Public Safety, and also for the offices of counseling and health services. What we found was that Towson Police gets about approximately double the revenue from the university as the Health and Counseling Center does. So with that being said, our goal in this bill was to make a more equal balance of the services that we use to react to crises.
And in addition to that, we also found that per the Clery Act crime reports, that seemed like that a lot of cases involving TUPD, involving major crimes on campus, kept being like suspended or not really cleared by arrest. And I guess that brought us up with the question of like, I guess, how effective are the TUPD in those cases, considering that we often see, Baltimore County police ending up coming on campus in times when they actually like really need a lot of assistance. And especially like in times when we also see that we have like, they're like we just think that like there are just too many like police squad cars for such a small campus.
And I'd like to expand on those ideas just quickly. Basically, another resource that we used was Towson has a register of all the incidences reported and reacted to on campus by Towson police. And the overwhelming amount were drug or alcohol related offenses. And in the cases where we did see something major, like a sexual assault, some kind of hate-based incident, we found that in those cases, a lot of the time, Towson police would react, but Baltimore County police, who was close by, would also react. And then as it went on, Baltimore County police would take over anyways. And they would really be in charge of those big problematic incidences So the question really became then, why do we have this armed force of Towson police officers arresting a bunch of kids for drugs and alcohol, and how unnecessary that seemed?
Okay.
In addition to that, we also were questioning to what extent are these arrests, racially motivated, and how do we address that, going forward?
President Wheeler.
Yes, President Davao.
If you could please prompt Director White to present, and then we'll move into discussion, and then representatives from the Office of Public Safety can respond, but after that presentation.
Yes, Director White, you have a presentation?
Yes, I do. I'll just be sharing my screen with you all. It's a very quick one. It's just to kind of give you all a better understanding on some of the histories of policing and things of that nature. Let me. Sorry, I'm just having issues sharing my screen.
No, we're fine.
If not, you can send me the presentation, Director White, if that's easier.
Okay. That may be easier because I don't want to quit. Yeah, it's saying I have to quit Google Chrome, and I don't want to do that. So I'll just email it to you, and you'll be able to send it to yourself.
And also, I want to say any member that is present now is able to speak and voice any concerns, whether or not you were involved in writing the bill, that doesn't matter. If you have concerns that you want to voice, you can. I got some questions about that in the comments privately, so I wanted to say that for everyone. But yes, please just wait to be acknowledged by the chair.
Okay, and while we are waiting for the presentation, Chief of Staff, and will she have public comments?
Yes, I have more public comments. So what people are saying in the chat is some are saying maybe a small reduction. Some are saying trauma-informed care is better than Towson University Police Department. Some people shared their stories of how TUPD helped them in various encounters. There are questions on and trigger warning, just about sexual assault and how Towson University would deal with that. There are some people who are saying they would rather deal with TUPD over Baltimore County Police Department. And there are questions about how can they keep a balanced budget. That's it.
President Davao, it doesn't look like that is the correct one. I'm just about to send you another slideshow.
Okay, and Vice President, that's okay.
I'm sorry, Vice President Davao.
Okay. But yeah, just send it over, and we can proceed with the discussion. But just yes, are you sending it via email?
Yes, I'm sending it via email.
Okay, all right, I'll look out for that. And Pro Temp Wheeler, just watch the chat because I believe a couple of people have comments and questions.
Yes, Uche, if I'm saying your name correctly, if I'm not, please correct me. You would like to speak?
No, you're saying it absolutely correctly. Hello, my name is Uche again, Towson Freedom School's co-director. The reason why this bill is even, being even discussed. So I have just some points that I did want to go over because I know that this is a ask that can be a little confusing. So I think some clarification for everyone in a very uncomfortable conversation such as this would be extremely helpful. So specifically, firstly speaking, policing in itself is inherently violent. And I know how hard it is for us to grasp, oh, period, look at Dominique. Dominique's slideshow got it right ahead of me. But policing itself is inherently violent. To start there, this isn't a conversation about bad police officers on campus, but about policing in itself relying on violence in order for it to work against supposed perpetrators. On Towson University, these supposed perpetrators would be specifically alcohol and drug abuse incidents, as mentioned by Senator Goodman and Trumbull, as well as sexual violence on Towson University campus. These specific incidents that are responded to by police officers, they don't get resolved, or they're not stopped by police officers responding. Instead, they're just kind of dealt with, and only in trauma-informed care that deals with substance abuse, that deals with alcoholism in colleges, or sexual violence in the red zone on college campuses. Only those things can put an end to those type of dangers that we seek. Next, I don't know if you all know this, but if you follow our Instagram and our Twitter, we did a TUPD incident report form, and in that incident report form, we got numerous responses detailing their specific interactions with TUPD that weren't the best. Out of a third of those responses detailed a breach of consent by a police officer, either by uncomfortable sexual innuendos in conversation, or by physical breaches of consent, or catcalling while in a TUPD vehicle. There was one instance of that. Another response detailed a xenophobic interaction while responding to a marijuana incident in a dorm. The remainder of these responses just detailed failures of TUPD to respond or resolve issues, whether that be traffic violations, lost phones, whatever. Also, if you are a Black student or if you're a Black member of SGA, I think you attend Black Ujima organizations, I think you may know that there is a huge bias on what kind of events on campus are policed. Because if I go to a white fraternity event, I do not see police officers, but if I go to an event hosted by the Caribbean Students Association, I will see the TUPD vehicles roaming. And next, again, I do want to center this conversation by using trauma-informed care trigger warning. I am a survivor, so conversations about sexual violence, I understand. And I say this from the aspect of a survivor. Yes, we can deal with, issues of sexual violence on campus by censoring survivors, by utilizing the organizations such as Turnaround that Towson University already has partnerships with. I don't feel safe when a police officer comes to my room to ask me questions about my assault, but I would feel safer if maybe a counselor who specialized in this type of trauma, ask me questions and help me through that process. Lastly, real quick, I really don't want to take up too much of you all's time. This ask is definitely not a random one. I know we all see the conversations in the news, the conversations in mass media about whether or not policing is what it needs to be. Specifically, in the conversation of police-free schools, so many schools have already adopted this. So many school systems. The county that I went to school in, Prince George's County Public Schools, has officially vowed to end school resource officers in school because they know it perpetuates the school to prison pipeline. Oakland Public Schools, another school system has decided to end their contract with their school resource officers. And countless universities have begun the conversations. Universities such as UMBC, University of Maryland College Park, University of Chicago, and Tulane University have all started to have conversations surrounding the necessity or validity of police force that we know relies on the incessant use of violence and does not center people that are harmed. Again, my name is Uche. I'm done. I know that was a lot of information. If you have any questions, drop them. Yeah.
Director White, you can go ahead with the presentation.
So I was trying to let you know that this isn't the correct one. I can try to get through the presentation like this. I think the only difference may be the title.
Okay, send it again. I'm sorry. Oh, wait, you did. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I see it now. So sorry. Give me a second.
And thank you so much, Uche, for your comments as a concerned student. I can say from the Office of Diversity and Inclusion under SDA, students and their opinions and their issues really do keep us moving and trying to achieve the best for this university. So I'm just going to be doing a quick slideshow on just better understanding policing. It probably won't take any more than 3 to 4 minutes. So I'm Director White. I'm the Director of Diversity and Inclusion for SGA. And so you can hit the next slide. So I just wanted to give a quick kind of synopsis of the history of policing. So the first institution that really kind of practiced policing was the Charleston City Watch and Guard that was founded in 1790. And what they did was largely basically slave patrol as we would understand it today, in terms of ensuring that, number one, slaves were not revolting, number two, slaves were not leaving and trying to flee, and they were also just obeying what then was the law. Then after that, in 1830, the Boston Police Force was formed, and that was the first actual like state-funded police force that had really like a staff. So it's important to understand that things like the City Watch and Guard were more civilians that had other jobs that were taking on policing as something that they thought that they should be doing. But the Boston Police Force was a police force that basically hired individuals. And the Boston Police Force at that time, basically their jobs were to ensure that the law was being abided by. As we know, in 1830 and later on, you have things like black codes, segregation, de jure and de facto segregation that harms many marginalized communities. And so part of what they were doing was ensuring that people were maintaining that very anti-Black and capitalistic order. And that was very harmful, although they were doing what they thought were their jobs, if that makes sense. Next. And yes, these references are available. I have a document that I do not mind sending to all of my colleagues in SGA, but I can also send it to any individuals that are also interested that are not in SGA. And the references for those two pieces of information were from NPR. And I also have some information from just different academic sources that I just think are really interesting. Next is going to be an understanding of inherent bias in policing. So racial bias is an issue that many police officers have admitted to having. What I mean by that is they have entered the police force honestly saying, yes, there are some levels of racial bias and bias that I have towards marginalized communities. The issue with that is, unlike any other job that we see in the United States, police officers are given a level or demand a level of respect that is specific to their job. So for an example, if a grocery clerk said, hey, I have a level of racial bias, they are not given a badge, a gun, and a large sense of power over certain communities. And this power is very much so absolute. Next, diversity and inclusions don't create better policing. The reason that I wanted to definitely mention this is a lot of metropolitan cities in the United States have taken on the idea that diversity and inclusion trainings would better help their police forces understand the communities that they were policing in. Unfortunately, this isn't necessarily the case. There was a study done by the University of Pennsylvania that basically looked into the understandings of the communities that these police officers were policing in before and after these trainings, and much of it did not change. They were still having the same issues. They were still having many of the same types of prejudice that they had before. The only difference is the state and even the cities were able to say, well, we gave them a training, but trainings do not necessarily equate to change. Next, policing has been known to perpetuate and increase bias in officers. There's also this really interesting study where police officers in Baltimore City spoke about how being a police officer made them more biased towards Black individuals. The reason why I bring this up is because it is very easy for us to say, oh, the entire institution of policing isn't bad. It's just these specific people that may desire to become cops. This is not necessarily the case, because there are some cops that say, I actually became even more biased and I saw that I had even more of an issue while I was policing. This is inherently dangerous when we understand the power that police officers have in these communities that we are just assuming they are protecting. Next slide. And if you all have any questions, I do not mind answering them at all. Also, studies show that police are not successful at deterring crime. I really want us to focus on this slide specifically because a lot of people have questions about what do we do without police. And a part of that question is this understanding that we are accomplishing something positive with police. And I really want us to really interrogate why we believe that. Why are we believing that police just inherently do it better? I kind of came to this conclusion while I was looking through a lot of just different studies about policing. Policing isn't doing what we are assuming it is doing. It is not necessarily deterring crime. It is not placing people in better conditions. It isn't even necessarily helping many of the survivors that we are assuming it helps. In fact, there have been studies that show that heightened activities pertaining to policing does not necessarily deter crime. So because you have a lot of police, that does not mean necessarily low crime rates. In addition to this, cities with more effective and higher capacity social services are better at deterring crime than communities with more policing. What I mean by that is we need to really consider, are we answering the problems of TU students and even just our communities when we just assume police are solving these problems? And we also need to critically think about different services that we can put in place that can better solve these problems. Because when we disappear people, we don't disappear problems, right? So if there is an issue with maybe with food insecurity in a specific neighborhood, putting or heavily policing that community isn't going to mean that food appears out of the sky. You need services, you need active organizations with high capacities to serve these communities to deter the crime, because there will not necessarily be a need for crime when their needs are being met, if that makes sense. And this is of course specific to certain circumstances, but for those other egregious crimes, it's important for us to understand that policing isn't necessarily deterring them. Also, something that I think we need to take away from this is invest in programs that better serve people. We don't need to invest more in policing. We need to invest more in people. And investing more in policing and consistently just assuming that police are doing what we think they're doing instead of really serving people and questioning even like our ideas of crime, that is when we truly kind of get to this idea of what policing means to us and what policing means to communities outside of our own, and how we can just better solve so many of the problems that we think policing solves. The next slide is some of these references and just some of these details that I spoke about, but I will be sending out a larger piece of information about policing. So Vox was I got a lot of this information from Vox, from The Atlantic, but I also got a lot of it from academic journals. So many of these studies that I did, many of the studies that I spoke about were done by places like Harvard and the University of Pennsylvania, because they did have the tools and just the access to many of the things that you need in order to do really good, cohesive research about things like policing. Are there any questions that I can answer? Public question. Okay.
Hi. So someone asked, and I quote, "Wait, if there's no TUPD, and wouldn't that mean that Baltimore County Police Department, wouldn't that result in more people being arrested and booked?" I think what the person's trying to say, that they trust TUPD more than Baltimore County, but the chat really wants me to ask this question.
So I think that that's more of a question about the legislation. I'm here to basically answer questions about like policing and our understanding of policing and better policing mechanisms. But I can say this about that. I'm pretty sure that Towson University has a contract with Baltimore County Police Department. So what that means is I'm sure that we can use them at our own discretion. So I don't necessarily think what we're doing right now, and the bill is advocating for us to take TUPD away and institute Baltimore County Police Department, if that makes sense. If I'm wrong, you can of course correct me.
Point of clarification on that. The bill is setting out the stage for it to be, for TUPD to be gradually defunded over the next 4 years as a way of like experimenting as we're gradually defunding it over the next 4 years. So we can say like in 2 years, like if we're defunding it and things start to get worse on campus and, you know, we realize this is not working, we can be like, okay, back to the drawing board here. But then at the same time, we're also recognizing the fact that currently at the moment, we already utilize Baltimore County Police Department on campus way too much, in addition to for actual crimes. And in addition to that, we already have like security guards at the CC desks in the buildings late at night, in residential buildings, in, you know, academic buildings late at night, which are also the duties of the TUPD to an extent, and which makes us question, what is the purpose? Going back to that overall question, what's TUPD's purpose if it's not to, you know, just make sure, you know, regulating various drug and alcohol related crimes on campus, which frankly, you know, in some states, in many states in this country right now, especially when we see like this stuff cleared by arrest related to like CDS violations, that's, you know, very well legal in many parts of this country. But thing is with that being said, the overall question is really like, to what extent can Towson sustain itself and still maintain its presence as a safe campus if we just used security guards in addition to the Baltimore County Police Department and at our own discretion, and adjust and like removed all the funds from the TUPD and reallocated that into the counseling center and the health center, so that we'll have more mental health professionals, more, you know, people who can actually really better deal with crises and stuff like that. And that's, you know, something that I think that we lack in, and the budget, the fiscal year 20 budget that Mr. Lowenthal provided to us certainly reflects that, and I'd be more than willing to share that with you all.
Pro Tem Wheeler.
Yes, Vice President Davao.
If you would ask TUPD to speak.
Yes, if TUPD, would you like to speak?
We'd love to. I'm Joe Herring. I'm the Director of Public Safety and Chief of Police. And also with us tonight is Shannon Cotton, the Sergeant in our Community Outreach Unit, Erica Hamilton and Sean Gilligan, both two new additions to the Community Outreach Unit. So good conversation here tonight, a lot of good ideas. Anybody that is involved in policing today has anything on the ball has got to recognize that there is reform needed. There does need to be discussions about responses to the incidents and calls for service that a police department is traditionally called on to respond to. And new approaches have to be developed and put in place. And what those are will vary from community to community, but certainly, for instance, when responding to issues involving calls for persons that are perhaps having incidents centered around mental health issues, Baltimore County has a crisis team that's comprised of a trained counselor along with a police officer to respond to that. And we would more than welcome that here at the university. I think that's a great idea. There's been many cases where the police department has been asked to respond to a student in crisis somewhere on campus, a residence hall, parking garage, or other location. And because the counseling center is staffed and a clinician is available, we've been able to go to that location and bring that resource with us to the scene to help resolve it successfully. Certainly more staffing in the counseling center would help us to be able to do that as the normal course of our response. There's been a lot of talk about the involvement of Baltimore County when campus, so I want to go over what the actual facts with regards to that are. Baltimore County and the Towson University Police Department have a memorandum of understanding concerning investigation of reports of crime and incidents in response to those crimes and incidents on campus. The county has jurisdiction on the campus at Towson University, just like they do at every other location in Baltimore County. They, however, rely on the Towson University Police Department to respond to all calls for service, with the exception of first and second degree sexual offenses, first and second degree rapes, any unintended death, sudden death, or homicide, or instances involving child abuse. Oftentimes those calls for those types of incidents come out as emergency calls, and TUPD will initially respond, but we will stabilize the area and wait for the county to also respond. And they have primary jurisdiction in those matters. With regards to, there were some comments about the clearance rate with regards to serious crimes. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can tell you that the Towson University Police Department has a higher than the national average success rate in clearing crimes that we're responsible for investigating and taking the calls on. We have no control over a sexual assault investigation that Baltimore County is investigating, and they ultimately make the final call in consultation with the state's attorney's office as to how that case is going to be closed and handled. Many times when investigating a sexual assault case, you will, as a policing agency doing the investigation, you will defer to the wishes of the victim in the case, and oftentimes that is what the county does as well. We do have a contract with Baltimore County Police Department, but that is through secondary employers of county officers, and we will occasionally use county officers at sporting events when the personnel needs to manage the event exceed our ability to staff the event safely and also do the other duties and responsibilities that we have. We also have a similar arrangement with the Maryland State Police. Most often the officers are utilized at football games. With regards to the budget, I'm not privileged to know what the budget and operating expenses are of the Health and Counseling Center, but I can tell you this, the number of police officers, sworn police officers in the Towson University Police Department today is the exact same number it was 19 years ago when I began employment here with Towson University. That number has not increased over the years. There are other job classifications that are part of the police department, such as public safety officers, which are the light blue shirted officers, and police communications operators who staff our dispatch center as well. Those numbers have increased slightly over the last 19 years. Most dramatically, the public safety officers' authorized strength increased last year as a result of the president's meeting with members of the SGA and the student body at a fall forum, which then resulted in authorization to hire more officers, but the actual hiring has not, while some additional officers have been hired, the full complement has not yet been hired. There's also been a significant discussion about survivors and victim services. And as part of our response to calls for service, we make every crime victim aware of the victim services that are available to them through the university, through the university's counseling center, as appropriate through other outside resources such as Turnaround and others that are there. We typically staff in the police department a supervisor and 3 officers for each shift, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Those officers are fairly busy. The majority of the calls, well, we respond to a wide variety of calls. Many of them are not criminal in nature, but then that's the nature of policing, because we are the resource that's on campus available to respond 24/7. We train and practice community policing, and without getting into a whole big discussion about what that may mean, it's more than a cliche with us. It's how we police, and the officer's job when they arrive at a scene is to triage that scene, make sure everyone's safe, identify the problem area if there is one, and if it's not an area that the police department is involved in or should be involved in, then we try and get the right resource involved in the solution to the issue. That's an oversimplification, but that is how we manage each and every scene. There was also a couple of comments made by the Freedom School, and I appreciate them with regards to abnormalities, excesses that TUPD officers have done. I can tell you that we actively investigate every complaint we get. Again, we are higher than what the national average is for sustaining cases involving misbehavior by police officers, and we take the appropriate personnel action as we can when we do those. Again, up on our website, we don't hide these facts, we're transparent with them. Up on our website, you can see a summary of each year of our internal affairs complaints, and in generalities, the results of them. We don't put specific personnel actions taken against specific officers, because currently we are prohibited by law from doing that. You know, we welcome input from the community. We would love to find better ways to handle the situations that are causing angst out in the general public. Police, you're right in that police aren't the best resource to respond to a lot of these situations. Sometimes they're the only resource available. A team approach is certainly a better approach and would help the professional resource that we're bringing in also remain safe at the scene. And with that, I'm going to stop talking right now and answer any questions you may have. And if there's something I missed, please redirect it to me. I'll be happy to answer for you.
Hi, before Senator starts questions, Senator Trumbull, you had a motion on the floor?
Yes. So I'd like to move to adjust the language of the bill, specifically the bottom 2 paragraphs. I'd like to change where we say in the form of a 25% annual defunding rate over the next 4 years, so the department can be fully defunded by 2024. I'd like to amend that and change it to a steady defunding rate over the next 4 years until an appropriate balance in services can be offered. So to clarify, what I mean by that is once we strike what we see as a good harmony between the involvement of police on campus and alternative services to react. And then below that, I mean, again, just minor adjustments. Instead of saying once TUPD is fully defunded, all funds from the budget will be reallocated to the expansion of the ward and West Health and Counseling Center, it would just be the budgets that are defunded from TUPD will be reallocated.
Senator Goodman, I accept that recommendation.
Senator Greenspan, I second the motion or the recommendation.
It wasn't a recommendation. Senator Goodman, did you mean to second the motion?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I second that motion. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. That's fine. And Senator Trumbull, please put the wording for your motion in the chat for the minutes, please.
Also, would you mind if we like share that budget list that we got from Mr. Lowenthal?
Yes, that's fine. Just send me can you send that to me? Actually, we have 4 minutes left. This will most likely be tabled, but that can be presented at the next meeting. I recommend that someone tables this bill until the following GA. It is 6:55 and we are done at 7. But sorry, there is a motion on the floor. Sorry, lapse in my thought process. Okay, so can you put the phrasing, Senator Trumbull, in the chat, please?
Yeah, I'm writing it out now.
Okay, thank you. Pro Tem Wheeler, is there any discussion?
Yes, is there any discussion? Okay, as now we are moving into a vote to change the language of the bill. All those in favor? Senator England, I believe you sent your vote to me in private. So just make sure you do it for, yes. All those opposed? Abstaining? And Director Report, could you read the count back to us, please?
Yeah, we have 14 in favor.
Okay, so with that, the motion passes to change the language of the bill. Okay, we are now going to move into a vote to table the bill until next GA.
No one accepted the recommendation.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Okay, so does anybody accept Vice President Davau's recommendation?
I, Senator Greenspan, accept the recommendation.
I, Senator auditory, second the recommendation.
Okay, now we'll move into a vote to table the bill until next GA.
Is there any?
All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Deep breath. You're fine.
Okay, is there any discussion on the floor? I'm so sorry, y'all. Don't vote just yet. Is there any discussion? Okay, there is no discussion. Now we're moving into a vote. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? Abstaining?
Just a quick clarification. Can you re-ask that? Because people were already sending favor and then they resent it. Yeah.
Okay, so we're now going to revote again to table the bill till next GA. So all those in favor? Okay. All those opposed? Abstaining? Okay, Director Ford, can you please read the count back to us?
So we have 13 in favor. We are missing 1 vote.
Missing 1. Okay, yes, Senator Goodman just voted.
Okay, amazing.
14 in favor, the motion passes to table the bill to the next GA. Okay, and Vice President Davao, can you share your screen to go back to the agenda, please?
Oh, we're just we're in announcements.
Oh yeah, so are there any announcements? Okay. If
Advisor Bailey is going to send them via email just because we are over time. But I just wanted to thank everyone for participating in the discussion today, and the senators that participated in writing the bill concerning the police department at Towson University. And if you all are available, the representatives that are here with us today, we will be reaching out to you all to schedule a meeting before the next reviewing of this legislation, so we could have a more, open, less, formal conversation. Just if some of that wasn't, addressed here today, I think that would be really helpful per the recommendation of our advisor. But yes, I think it's a great idea as well. So if you all are available, look out for an email from us soon. As well as Towson Freedom School would be in that meeting as well.
And I just wanted to speak to the general body of the SGA. Can I go ahead, Pro Tem Burler?
Yes.
Great. So I just wanted to tell you guys that I understand being a representative is really hard and trying to make sure that you're representing everybody equally and making the best unbiased decisions that you possibly can. I'm proud of all of you. You all did really good today, and I just want you guys to keep pushing and keep doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing, and you're all following into your roles very well. Today, some positive motivation.
Okay. If there are no more announcements, are there any motions on the floor?
Senator Dixon, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Oh, sorry, Senator Otoy seconds the motion.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, so there's no further discussion. We are now moving to a vote to adjourn. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstaining? And Director, can you please read the count back to us?
Yeah, 14 in favor.
Okay, with that, the meeting is adjourned.